I don't know. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with an American Pickle. This is a movie reaction, a donation reward from Venom. I I chose this for this week for two reasons. One, it's called an American Pickle, and that's really fucking funny to me. I don't know why, but it's just like it grabbed my attention when this was requested. I have no idea what this is in any shape or form, and I'll get to that more in a second, but the title grabbed my attention. But also, this week is Independence Day here in America for those who celebrate for some reason. I just thought, a movie with American in its name, maybe that's kind of on topic. I don't know, maybe it's not. Because I have no idea what this is. I have no clue what this is about. I've never heard of this. I don't know who's in it. I don't know when it came out. It's like it's a fairly reasonable length. It's like an hour and a half. Not too long. But yeah, I know nothing else about this. The title just makes me, like, I don't know, think of fucking Vlasic pickles or something. Like, what else am I supposed to think of? Is this like a literal title? Is it like literally about pickles? Or is it more like descriptive or metaphorical about something? I don't know. I don't know at all. Maybe it's like, uh, I don't know. I just don't know. But it's just like I knew I was going to do this week. Last week we had the entire movie week, and it's like I was prepared to get to this right away once we came off of that. I don't know what we're getting ourselves into. Let's just check this out and, I guess, find out. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I looked up Seth Rogen's filmography, specifically focusing on movies and not shows and stuff. And out of all the, like, Seth Rogen movies I've seen, and I'm counting movies that are, like, starring him and, like, Seth Rogen movies, not ones where he's, like, a side character or some random, like, background appearance or stuff. Or like in like Monsters versus Aliens, where he's part of like an ensemble voice cast, and is not like the main character. I'm talking like movies that are Seth Rogen movies. You know what I mean. Out of all of the movies I've seen with him, where he's like a major or like one of the main characters and everything, and going on with all that, this is like so drastically different from everything else. And what surprised me the most is that I don't think weed was mentioned in this movie once. Like, not even mentioned, much less shown. This movie, it doesn't follow any of the tropes that you think of with a Seth Rogen movie. And I think that's because a lot of Seth Rogen's films are stoner comedies, that kind of thing. It's like kind of his vibe, right? Which is fine for those who are big into that. I never really have been, but this movie is still a comedy, and it does still tackle, like, some, for lack of a better way to put it, edgy stuff. But this movie is also, like, has some very serious heart, has a lot of, like, cultural and religious discussion in it, A lot of discussion about family and, the differences between time periods and how things, have changed over the years. Discussions about like ethicality and morality and everything. It touches on things in a way that Seth Rogen movies don't usually do. If it weren't for him being, not just the star of this film, but twice over, where he plays, two different characters, it's like you almost wouldn't know this is a Seth Rogen movie. Like, within the context of the film, its themes, its tone, the type of comedy it plays with, as well as just the basic gist of it. Like, it doesn't feel like the Seth Rogen movie. And I don't mean for this to sound mean or, rude or anything, but for me, that's kind of a good thing. Because my issue with most of Seth Rogen's filmography, again, like specifically that the stuff that he stars in and is like, it's the movies that are Seth Rogen movies. Again, not including shows and other stuff like that either too. Is that a lot of them are very much the same kind of stoner comedy. It's the same kind of humor, the same kind of concepts, the same kind of like, weed and ridiculousness and just the kind of stuff that I just can't, for whatever reason, get really that into. And instead we have a story that is funny, charming, like filled with a lot of heart and emotion. Like, it actually got me like kind of choked up a little bit. I didn't like full on cry, but I was getting a little teary eyed there. And it like got me super invested. And that's the big thing, because I don't think I've ever been invested in a Seth Rogen film. And I don't know if it's because this movie, unlike a lot of those, which are just a lot of times stoner comedies and are meant to be like dumb and ridiculous and kind of, stupid on purpose. I don't know if it's because in this one it's like it felt like Seth Rogen was putting a lot of himself and his own history with being Jewish and his like kind of family history into this. Now, I know this is based off a short story and it's not like his original story or anything, but I don't know, it just felt like Seth Rogen was putting a lot of himself into these performances. And it felt more genuine. It felt like there was a lot more like believability and heart to it than any other performance I've seen from him. Like, I actually came to care for these characters. Again, something I've never done with like a Seth Rogen character before. I've actually grown to care about these characters and want to see things work out for them. Even with Herschel being like, someone from the 1910s, 1920s. Someone who's, very clearly not the best by today's standards. He's still charming enough, he's still likable enough, and he's trying. Like, the thing is, he comes from a time period in which, like, they didn't know that kind of thinking was wrong. That was what they had been raised into to think, and they didn't have anybody telling them otherwise. And it sucks. It's terrible, but it is the way the world was. And he's like, brined for 100 years. He comes out of it. He's in the modern world where things like that aren't okay. He's not going to fit in like that right away. And the problem is with him and Ben like coming to odds with each other. It's like Ben doesn't really get the chance to help him or the, desire. If they had remained on good terms with each other and Ben, helped him understand that his views are not actually good, and which could happen like after the events of the film and everything, like if you want to like, oh, where did they go after this, what did they do after this, it's like, yeah, he probably could have helped him figure that out. But it's like, it's just one of those cases where he was born and raised into that, and he has to be taught that that's not okay anymore. And he hasn't had that opportunity yet. So I never fully blamed him for that. Like his thoughts were definitely abhorrent. Like his beliefs were definitely very wrong and very bad, unquestionably. But again, he doesn't know that because that's all he's ever known. That's all like he's ever been raised into. He has no frame of reference otherwise. And so he's got to be taught that. And by the end, I think he's much more willing to learn, much more willing to, take that into account. During a lot of it, not so much, but you know. Um but I liked the general story, the fact that he was Pickle Brian. And the funny thing is, the one clip I had seen prior to this, the one where he's like selling pickles to those two in the street. One of their names was Kevin. I don't remember the others. But it's like I've seen that again. I've seen that clip before, and I know it takes place in like a modern day setting. And yet, for some reason, like when the movie starts in 1919 and everything, I'm not putting that together. I'm like, okay, he's in New York, he's selling pickles, and it's like I knew that was the scene I remembered that I had seen. Once I realized, of course, what this movie was. And it's like we see them like, move to New York and everything, but at the same time, it's like I just didn't put together that it's like, wait, the time period's wrong here. And so when he actually did fall in there, ended up like, staying in there for 100 years, that actually caught me very off guard. But it's like I did start to realize it's like, oh yeah, no, duh. It's like that did take place in modern day, so eventually I got there. But I like the kind of absurdity of that because like a lot of what like built into this is absurdist. Like obviously he couldn't have survived in that for 100 years. Like it just would not have happened. He would just be a skeletal remains at that point. Um, it just yeah, wouldn't have happened like that. That's not how anything works. But it's again, it's a comedy. It's not meant to be taken too literally seriously in that way. Um, on top of just the absurdity of that kind of situation, this also definitely delves into a bit of satire of like the American people and how they take to things and how it takes certain things to change their views on people. Like when the political right is like hailing him as like this kind of savior, even saying he should run for office and stuff, until he says literally the one thing that pisses them off, and it's like, insulting Christianity. It's like that's obviously a satire of the political right, pretending to adhere to these Christian values and all, despite all of their other values being like ridiculously terrible and fucked up. And it's like I get the joke there. I understand what they're going for. But like seeing how the left turns against him due to like his unethical beliefs and everything that he spouts on Twitter and everything, it's like they didn't even turn against him because like of the pickles being, not well made or whatever. They turned against him because of the shit he was saying. And it's like it's tackling these kinds of differences between the political sides, but it's also like it even plays with the idea. It's like, oh, but I can't go back and everything. It's like they hate me and they'll always hate me. Nothing will ever fix that. And Ben is like, no, that's not true at all. Because it's like, yeah, America will kind of forgive and forget, and people who were once hated will eventually be lauded, even, and things will work out. And I mean, look at our current president. After his first term in office, even a lot of his supporters turned against him. But then, like, when after Joe Biden's term and everything, people turned back to him just because they didn't like Biden and they didn't want a woman in office. It's like, it's so ridiculous. It's almost parody in and of itself, but it's real life and it's horrific in that way. But this like movie clearly touches on stuff like that too. There's also just little moments of just fun and kind of joy in this movie. This is gonna sound like kind of insignificant to most people and weird, but the soda stream part just made me happy. I don't know how else to explain it. But I don't know if it was partially, it was probably partially the excitement of like noticing the soda stream right away and having a bottle to show off right here because I use the soda stream on a daily basis. But it's also just like Herschel's kind of wonder at seeing the soda stream, like, you know, carbonate the water and everything. It's just like, I I'm almost embarrassed to admit it, but as someone who is, you know, naturally living in this time period, when I first got my soda stream, I had almost the same reaction. When I like first got it and first used it, it's like I was like ridiculously like kind of like goofily um like excited about it. I think I showed it off on like social media and stuff because I was like super just like weirdly into it. It's like all I have to do is press this down on this button and it carbonates the water. It's like that's so cool. Mind you, the model he had in this was a more advanced model than I've had. I've had two different models, and they both work pretty much the same. You screw in the CO2 tank in the back. You click the bottle in. Clicking the bottle in was done exactly the same as it was shown here. You just push it in and then push it back into the frame. And then for the ones I've had, it has like this push button on top. You have to push down and hold down for like a second or two. And then you like do it a certain amount of times depending on how much carbonation you want. For his seemed more electronic. It was like a fancier, like more updated model where it's like you just push the like a small button on top and it just automatically does it. You don't have to hold it down. So it's like it's different from the ones I've had. But yeah, the idea is still there. It still works pretty much the same. It's probably just as simple. um it's just again the small things that just make you happy. It's like that sometimes can be really nice. Um but like how much depth there was to both characters, and you got to see a lot of that with the way like even like with Ben and the fact that he didn't have photos of his family, he was hiding that in like a book in his closet, and was avoiding properly grieving over his parents' deaths. It's like you got that kind of stuff right away, and it was well like handled throughout the film. I like how a good portion of it too is also just these two being petty as fuck towards each other. Just because of their like arguments and issues with each other, they become petty and start like fucking with each other. Mostly a lot of it was Ben fucking with Herschel and screwing him over, but you know, Herschel did some stuff too, and it's like that's okay. Just two petty family members just being bitchy with each other, pretty much. But it was fun. It was entertaining in that way. It was well handled. And I just, I really think that this movie was a lot more mature than Seth Rogen's films tend to be. And really dealt with like some really interesting topics. Plus, I even learned some stuff like what the Kazakhs are. Like, I had no idea what the fuck that was. I had to look that up, and it's like, oh, like that was a real thing and everything. It's like I had no idea. I've never heard that before. Um, it's really fascinating to me how this was done. And how, again, different this felt from his normal fare. And just in general, how good it was. Like, again, I'd seen that clip a couple times all the way through, and then I'd just seen it when scrolling through TikTok randomly. I'll just pass by it every now and again. But I've never, like, known the context behind it, and so, like, seeing it in context, it's, like, actually kind of made the entire scene better. And I just, like, I never expected that I would ever see what that was. But also, like, once I was even starting to watch this, I didn't really think too much of it. Like, when I first started this and noticed it was Seth Rogen and all, my interest, I'll be completely honest, kind of dropped a bit. Because I'm not the biggest Seth Rogen fan. I almost said Seth Rollins. It's like, this is not pro wrestling. No, I'm not the biggest Seth Rogen fan personally. Again, I have nothing against him as a person. Hell, I like him as a person. He's a really progressive, liberal type of guy who fights for, like, really important things and is just, a really cool guy. I've heard he's also super nice and friendly towards fans and stuff. I have nothing against him as a person. It's just I don't tend to like most of his movies. So it's like I kind of was like almost ready to check out, but then as the movie kept going and I was genuinely like enjoying it, I was like surprised. I was surprised how like actually entertaining this ended up being. I I was like honestly at the very beginning when I realized it was Seth Rogen, I was kind of ready to give up on it because even though I recognized it was like from the clip I had seen multiple times, it's like I was thinking it was like, oh, this is probably gonna like have the same kind of humor that Seth Rogen movies always have. I was ready to like just deride it and hate on it and everything, and then it ended up proving me wrong in every possible way. It ended up being genuinely funny, charming, emotional, and just super investing. I cared about the characters. I cared about their journey. I really like the pacing of it. I feel like it was paced really well. I just really liked this. I thought it was like really well done. Honestly, I don't care if this is unpopular opinion. I think this is Seth Rogen's best performance of anything he's done. Even with the stuff where he's like a side role or whatnot. And I'm not counting like directorial stuff or anything specifically. I'm just specifically referring to his acting performances. Like I think this is his best acting performance. Both of these characters, by the way. And honestly, I would say this is probably, for me, in my opinion, his best film, generally speaking, as well. And it's not just best film as like, oh, it's still not great, but for him, it's his best. No, it's also a genuinely great film. It's also just really, really well made. So it's not like just a, oh, it's his best by default, but it's still not that great compared to other films. I mean, I wouldn't put it on the level of something like Sinners, of course, referencing another movie where where an actor plays two characters. But it's still really great nonetheless. Like I don't expect most movies to be on the level of Sinners at this point. Sinners was something special. But it's just it was still so good. It was still so enjoyable. It's like this is the kind of stuff I want to see from Seth Rogen. Like this kind of content is like I feel like him at his best. But that is my view. That is my opinion and I would love to hear yours. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of An American Pickle? And thank you so much as always for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.